And welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. Of course, I'm Matthew Orton. I want to say thank you guys for joining in. Thanks for the likes and shares and subscribers, y'all. It means a lot to me. It really does. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of new stuff coming on. We do have a Patreon, so make sure you sign that up. Patreon will be in the links. We got 3 tiers, whichever one works for you. Not obligated to. There's some bonus episodes up there that aren't aired, so you check those out. There's a really, I had a fun one with the Amityville Horde that's on there. Amityville Horde fascinated me. But quick shout out to Dylan over there, blademedia.com. That's BLAYED media.com. Dylan, thank you so much for the hard work you've put into the website and to the graphic. I appreciate it. There's a graphic behind me, guys. How cool is that? So those of you watching YouTube, you can see the video back there. Sitting next to me, of course, on video is Willie. So, yep, my ride or die that rides in the Jeep with me all the time. So I'm pretty, so Willie's featured today. But live show's coming up. We do have a live show coming up on April 5th with the Cryptids of the Corn crew. Justin and Jay are coming here to Arkansas. That's right. Tickets are available for sale in the description below. They are selling fast, so make sure you get them. If you are traveling from out of state and you need help with hotels, reach out to us. We can definitely get you taken care of, or we'll get you in a good hotel located real close by the venue. We might even see if we can't get a discount or two. Just kind of reach out to me and let me know. Of course, and if you've had an encounter, email us, drunkencryptids@gmail.com. Also, we are going to be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo, October 25th and 26th of this year. So we will be set up there for both days. Jacob's going to be there this time. I know, right? I'm excited about that one. So y'all get a chance to come on down to meet. Well, we are going to be continuing to do some meet and greets out there. We are doing some more roundtable discussions. We had a great one recently at Old Barks. Thank you to the folks at Old Barks for hosting it. It did great. There'll be some more up there in Cabot at the Censored Monkey. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for those. I'll be posting those up, so make sure you're paying attention. Let's see here again. Thank you for all the support. Thanks to the team out there, all the hard work you guys putting behind us. I do appreciate it a whole bunch. And of course, I want to give a special shout out to a lot of my friends out there. Obviously the guys at Cryptids of the Corn, Justin and Jay, Alan and Chris over there at Nevermore Hollows, John over there at Miss Monsters and Mullets, Eric over there at Uncomfortable, and Ryan over there at Codex of Curiosities. I could go on and on and on. But thanks you guys for all the support, all the help. Thanks for sharing everything you do. It's much appreciated. But let's get into a little bit about today's episode. So Renee's coming on the show, and she's going to talk about what brought her into the Bigfoot community. She is the founder of the Ohio Bigfoot Researcher Organization, and they're up there. They're on Facebook, and they go on expeditions. They'll take people out. Renee was even recently down here in Arkansas. Did not get a chance to meet her. However, I will be able to meet her in October at the Ada, Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree. I will be a guest speaker for that one. And that's early October, so pay attention. We'll be sharing stuff for that. But what is up with the Rh negative blood type? What's up with that? There's a lot of people who believe that the Rh negative blood type is reference to Nephilim, aliens, a whole bunch. It's a really unique blood type in itself. Renee goes in and discusses what she was told about the Rh negative blood type on the show, and we get into some pretty deep conversations. She actually does have a very kind of a horrifying encounter up there in Ohio with possibly a dire wolf. So you definitely want to tune in and listen to everything. So without further ado, let's get into it. It's showtime.
Was these two globes. I don't know how to describe them. And I stood up there and looked at them, and it's like,
I just couldn't hold it anymore, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was a chupacabra. I was so excited.
They were referring to Bigfoot.
There are voices in the darkness. Reason why the show is called Drunken.
Hey, Renee, thanks for coming on the show tonight. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I'm actually really excited for this. We've been talking a little bit off air, kind of messaged each other back and forth. And Uh, yeah, I just want to jump right into it for everybody out there listening. So, Renee, so you are the founder of the Ohio Bigfoot Researcher Group, correct?
Yes, I am.
Well, can you tell everybody a little bit about that and how they can find your group?
Yeah, it's Ohio Bigfoot Researchers on Facebook and on YouTube. I actually founded the group in October of 2021.
So in 2021.
Yes,
So what
that
is
was,
so I'm assuming you obviously had encounters to, want to create this group, correct?
yeah, we went to a Bigfoot camp out. We got invited by some friends of ours. I was not a believer. I'd never seen one, so I was like, whatever, let's go. We went to Salt Fork State Park in Cambridge, Ohio. We weren't out of the car 5 minutes. I look up on the hill, and there stands a black one, about 7 foot tall female. You could obviously tell she was female. And I'm just standing there in awe, and somebody says, "Don't you have a camera on you?" That wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, "Are you crazy that you think you're seeing this?"
It was
Um,
you mentioned the camera thing, and
mhm,
I brought this up before. I do a show here locally as well. There was a former morning host on a big radio station here, and one of the big players came in and bought radio stations. I'm not going to mention the names. They bought the station up, and the one guy retired, so he left, and he had to wait, till non-disclosure and stuff like that happened,
right.
non-competitive. So he started his own little morning show. He does it live every morning, Monday through Friday. And I was lucky enough, he invited me this past summer to be a co-host. So when I'm on the show, we talk about this. And I just brought it up. I was like, when you're out there and you encounter these things, the last thing you're thinking of is get your camera out.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't, I love hearing the armchair researchers. You know
Oh,
what I
I
mean?
just love them.
Yeah, they're like, well, this is what I would have done. And I'm like, I don't remember you being there.
Right. And when you're there, it's totally different.
Very. When my encounter that I had up in our area, in area 1, the last thing I was thinking of was, getting my phone out and taking a picture
Right.
of what I'm looking at. And it was so quick, though. The encounter was
Right.
so fast. It was there and it was gone in a matter of 15 seconds.
Right. Well, mine has lasted a lot longer. I probably stood there and looked at her, and she looked at me probably 3 to 5 minutes. I was in total shock. But then every time I got out of the car at that state park that weekend, I was lucky enough to see one. Then I ran into somebody that finally said, "Renee, have you ever looked up the bloodline and blood types?" And I said, "No, why?" And they said, "I can tell you your blood type just by your encounters." And I said, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're Rh negative." And I said, "I am. How did you know that?" Well, I don't know if you know Barry Webster. He's an Indian. He does Bigfooting.
No, I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with RH negative, but I'm not familiar with that individual.
Right.
No.
Well, that's who was talking to me. He's from Nebraska, from the Omaha tribe. And I'm like, "How did you know my blood type? That's weird." That's not a question you just ask somebody.
True.
And since 2021, I've probably had close to 30 encounters face to face. So I did research on the bloodline, and I do believe that that is a factor as to why I am lucky enough to see them as often as I am. But it also comes with seeing the dog man, which I don't like.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, we'll dig into him. Excuse me. I'm still fighting a sinus infection for like 2.5 weeks now.
Oh my.
So everybody out there got to work with me just a little bit. Yeah. Oh, sinuses are great. Okay, so Now, what's funny about the Rh negative blood type, though, is that, a lot of people refer to this almost as Nephilim as well.
Right.
And it's very rare. Like, I'm A positive, so I don't fall into the, I'm kind of cool with the Rh negative and red hair and all that stuff. I've got a friend of mine, she's been on the show a few times, and she's Rh negative, and she's got the red hair and everything, and I kind of tease her, and, she's a witch kind of thing.
Right.
So, Heidi, if you're listening, that was a shout out to you. So, okay, I want to go, okay, so you got invited to go out.
Right.
And you encounter a female right off the bat, and y'all just staring at each other.
Right.
Okay. And then all weekend long, I'm assuming you kept seeing them.
All weekend. And once I seen one, I was addicted, if that makes sense.
Well, it does. A lot of people who, have, if they've had an encounter, it either A, scars them for life, or they don't ever want to go to the woods again.
Right.
B, they're like, okay, I just saw a shadow. Or C, they're like, whoa, I'm hooked.
Yep.
And that's pretty much has been me as well. I had one guy interviewed, and he actually, as a kid, was picking berries and touched one.
Oh, my Lord.
And it took him, as he said, almost 20 years to get back out into the woods again. And it scared him that much. So I tell everybody off the bat, when you go out there and encounter these things, don't think it's going to be, the clouds are going to part, the sun's going to shine down, and angels are going to sing.
No.
This is, you're looking at something that, according to the mainstream media, does not exist, except for in comics and commercials.
Yeah.
So, but with so it's kind of funny you mentioned the Rh negative, though. And this guy just happened to, so the guy there, was he with the group or?
No, he actually contacted me on Facebook.
Okay, so
after encounters, yeah, and he posted it, and the first question he asked me was, "Are you Rh negative?" And that kind of threw me. I was like, "That's not a question you just ask somebody." But then he got to explaining it. I got to researching it, and it makes sense. But why didn't I, for the first 50 years of my life, see anything or? But I guess I wasn't looking,
You probably did and didn't realize it.
Right.
It's a lot of people do that. They'll have an encounter, not knowing it's an encounter. When I was a kid in Utah, looking backwards now, I probably had a few and just wrote it off as nature.
Right.
Wood knocks, stuff like that, blowing it off as something else, not thinking, as a believer, even as a kid into Bigfoot, not thinking that, because, as a kid, Bigfoot was one of those, mythological creatures that does exist. It's there, but the chance of you encountering one are so slim.
Right.
So it was never in the back of my mind that, oh yeah, there's Bigfoot right there. Never once thinking that. But looking
I've never
back,
thought of it. Yeah.
Yep. Same thing. I think a lot of people have probably seen them more than they realize.
Me too.
I talk to deer hunters down here all the time, and they'll say, well, I've been out in those woods, I've been out there hunting for 20 years. And I'm like, yeah, but you go out there on the weekends for a couple of hours, you're not living there. But I'll always ask them too. I say, okay, have you ever shot a deer? And they'll answer all the time, oh yeah. Okay, cool. Shot a deer, and the deer, it wasn't mortally wounded, but it, didn't drop on the spot, so it bounced off in the woodline, right? Yeah.
Right.
You followed the blood trail, right? Yeah. No
But
deer.
you didn't find it.
But you didn't find the deer, right? And they look at me and go, let me guess, blood trail just stopped.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, where do you think it went? And then they give you that funny look.
Right.
And I was like, he's there.
Yeah.
So I think that down here in the South, they use a lot of deer stands and feeders. And I think Sasquatch knows. They're intelligent enough. It's a free, easy meal. They know the seasons better than we do. They know the deer movements better than we do. and they're going to track them every step of the way, and they're going to wait for that crack of the rifle, and they're going to pounce.
Right. Free meal.
Exactly. Yeah. They'll have to. I mean, it's like you teach it. You start feeding a bear at the zoo, it's going to keep just going to learn to be fed by people. And I think that's what Sasquatch has figured out by now.
And I've heard hunters say, well, I've got game cams out. I said, you think they don't see that game camera? That IR, they see that. They know to avoid that.
Well, here's the other thing too about the those game cameras is if something's moving, when it triggers it's not running constantly. It's not. Right. The camera's not constantly running. It'll drain the batteries. Unless you have a constant power going to it, then that's a different. Those are different. But your basic game, camera, your game trail camera, trail cams, whatever you want to call them, they run on batteries. So the movement is what catches it. So, if you look at the photos or the videos, you'll see it's not recording you walking up. It's recording you already there.
Right.
Because it picks up. And if you just walk past it, it's going to pick up it's going to trigger it, you walk past it, but it's not going to record you because you've already moved.
Yes.
And a lot of times that's what I believe has happened. And if you ask people who do have trail cams, say, well, do you have do you have a lot of pictures or videos where there's nothing in it?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah. I said, well, something walked past it. That's my theory.
Right.
So, all right. Oh man, we were doing just fine until we started recording. and now the sinuses are just like, no, we're gonna stop this really, really quick. Okay, so you have the encounter 2021.
Yep.
You start the group. You start going out there. You've had over 30 Class A encounters.
Yes.
In 4 years.
Yes.
And okay, so with your research of the Rh negative blood type and the bloodlines, what are you finding on that one?
What I'm finding is that for some reason in my research that they are drawn to me. Because who has 30 Class A sightings in 4 years? I tell people that and they're like, you're full of what? No, I've got pictures. I've got proof, just like everybody else. Do I share them with everybody? Absolutely not. I choose who I want to share that with, but I don't care if people believe me because I know, but I just think they're drawn to me. Because every time I go out because I now go out by myself most of the time because my husband's not able to walk very far. So I do most of the research by myself. Armed. Yes, I am armed when I go, but for my protection only of people.
Yeah, well, we go armed as well when I go. And it's protection. We don't go out there to try and kill one, obviously. We're out there because there's other things in the woods that will hurt you.
Right, exactly. And here, I live in town, and where I research is just probably 6 or 7 miles out of town. But there's a lot of people there that I have to be weary of at night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not real excited about you going out there by yourself, because that's one of the rules that I have for my team.
That's one of our rules too, but when he couldn't go anymore, and a lot of people that are in our group, they want to be Bigfooters. I'll just say that.
Right.
Because you'll ask them, do you want to go out? Well, there's always an excuse.
Yeah. And then there's me, who has scheduling conflicts. Wendell, I'm sorry, buddy. And Wendell goes 2.5 hours away from where I live.
Right.
So that cramps me a little bit. Wendell, I love you.
About 3 hours from where we live, and that we love researching there. But we try to go at least 4 times a year. But I try to get out just about at least once a week by myself. It's my escape too, I love nature, but being by yourself out there can get scary. Every hair on your body stands up. You're being watched.
Yeah,
But
and
I've
not,
only
and not
had
just by Bigfoot either. I mean, the squirrels are
no,
watching you, the raccoons are watching you.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I've only had one encounter that got scary because I went to Salt Fork and we found a huge nest. And me being stupid, I'll just say, I went inside to check it out. Well, that's 3 hours from home. I went to our research area the next day and got bruised from head to toe with rocks thrown at me. So I went to researching that and I thought, well, I've disrespected. So I had to ask for forgiveness. It's easier to ask forgiveness than it is permission.
yeah, true. In some
But
cases, and well, let's talk. Okay, let's go back to the nest. Let's talk about the nest you guys found.
right. I have pictures I will send you.
I appreciate that. So yeah, can you describe it to us? Well, I mean, what happened? How'd you guys find it?
We were walking off trail in Salt Fork, me and one other guy, way in the woods, and this thing shows up. It's probably 15 foot high, basket woven, beautiful, stunk to high heaven. And we got to looking around it, and it's right where 3 game trails meet. And it's on a food plot. So we figured it out pretty quick what it was. We pinpointed on the GPS where we found it. We both went inside. We both got reprimanded for it. But the way this thing was woven so intricately was amazing. But if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd have walked right past it and not even paid it any mind because it was covered in pine needles. They had took branches of pine trees and camouflaged it. But yeah, we still have it pinpointed. We've never been back there. I won't go back there because being back there gave you that eerie feeling. Like you knew you shouldn't be there, but you couldn't help but be there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, Salt Fork's an amazing place. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there.
So when you say a nest, did it go? I mean, was it like it was? You said 15 foot tall. How deep inside did it go?
I probably could have laid down head to toe twice, and I'm 5'2".
So about 10. So about 10 foot.
And probably 7 or 8 inches deep of pine needles on the bottom for bedding. You could tell something had been laying there.
Okay, and you said there's 3 game trails that were right there.
Yeah, they all come together right there at the food plot where they plant corn or soybeans every year.
No, when you say they, you talk about Sasquatch or?
No, Salt Fork plants.
Okay, all right. I was like, because you said they, I was like, you found a farm? Holy cow! I almost got excited.
But they all ended right in front of that nest, right in front of it. And it had logs stacked up around it, kind of like a fort, but they were only probably 4 foot high with one opening. I mean, you could tell that it was very used. We also got footprints right outside of there that we casted. We didn't look for hair. I don't know why we didn't look for hair, but you send people hair and it gets lost or it was,
Yeah,
whatever.
Contaminated. Wasn't a good sample. Yep.
So, but yeah, it's amazing. But just the feeling you got being there was like when you were a kid and you knew you weren't supposed to do something, but you were going to do it or die trying.
Right.
That's the feeling it was. But yeah, it was amazing.
Well, so we found a structure. So that's why I was asking you about the nest. We found a structure here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on this private property. And they've been watching it be built since 2019, I think is what if I remember correctly. Chris, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But yeah, it's right there. There's 2 game trails that run to the left and right of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in the middle of it, but it's nowhere. It's not 15 foot tall. It's not deep at all. It's probably maybe 4 feet deep, if that. And the height was probably about 6, maybe 7 foot, and it blends in. It's right there, and it's it's woven. And at first, you're going to think it looks like a washout. When you get flood waters and all the branches and everything collect up and they built up. At first, that's what it looks like. Until you're looking at it and you go, that's not right. There's no water here just going to get that high.
Right.
To
Do you
push
think
it
it
up.
was like a hunting blind for them?
Well, actually, so that was what my theory on it was. It was a hunting blind with these 2 game trails that run on both sides of it. Is what I was looking at, because like a nest. At first we're thinking, oh man, we found the nest. I'm like, that's a hunting blind.
Yeah.
Looking at it more, that's an on the ground hunt, and it makes. So I threw out the theory as well, to where with hunting blinds, did the Native Americans come up with that first, or did they learn that from Sasquatch, or vice versa? Right. So because I do think that they are extremely intelligent creatures out there. And they're going to, if it works, go ahead and, utilize it.
Right. And I have many structures. I'll send you pictures when we're done.
I love structures. I love structures and X's. I love X's.
What do you think about the upside down trees? Have you ever found one of those?
No, never found an upside down tree, but I did. So me and upside down trees I'm on the fence. And here's there's only one reason why. Okay. Because in a lot of logging operations, okay, when they're pulling up trees, these big trees, they'll have like a helicopter.
Right.
And they'll drop them. To them, it's like playing darts.
Okay, but what if they're not big trees?
Well, so that's a different scenario. No,
because I have pictures of those too. I'll send you that are by like 4 structures that are within a 50-yard span.
Okay, so the upside down trees, I'll be the first one to admit, it's fascinating because it's, I'm using my fingers in parentheses saying new. I think it's been there all along. We've just never really talked about it.
Right.
And there's, so I don't have a theory on that one yet. I do have a strong theory with the X's, though.
Okay.
So my theory on the X's is it's a territorial marker. But it's not a territorial marker saying, to other Sasquatch tribes or clans or families or whatever they're in. I think it's territorial markers against other cryptids. And that's why you don't see that many of the X's out there as you would upside down trees are more than you're going to get X's.
Right.
And that's what I think. I mean, if you go to any area that's hot, you're not going to get a lot of X's, but you will get a lot of other, broken trees, stuff like that. Poor little dog. But that's what I think you're going to get. But I think the X's themselves are a warning to other cryptids, i.e. Dogman, whatever.
Right.
Saying, hey, this is mine, don't come near it.
Yeah, the first day I got to Arkansas, we went to Wendell's up on his mountain, and there were 2 X's there.
Yeah, I think Arkansas is it's almost like Ohio. Ohio was full of crazy cryptids, crazy encounters, and Arkansas is really, really similar in a lot of ways to Ohio when it comes to that. Being from Utah, I was raised up in the Rocky Mountains, and coming here, not thinking anything is Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and no, I was 100% wrong on that one. It's but there's a lot more creatures out there. And Dogman being one of them. We have a lot of the Native American ones. Arkansas was on the Trail of Tears, the area that we're researching. The more research we do into it, we're finding out it was a hot spot and a hotbed for Native Americans, maybe to possibly have met. The property owner has boxes of arrowheads that they have found on the property.
Right.
And I've seen the boxes. I mean, these are literally boxes. And when it rains, he says, yeah, you just go out there and find them. And I'm like, you don't leave arrowheads laying around unless it was, a big spot. So there's a lot of the history there. But so I think that the X's are that way. And where Wendell's property, they're one research area. is just mad crazy hot.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Jacob, was lucky enough to go on a weekend excursion with him, had a blast. Found some tracks and he learned a lot. Wendell has a ton of knowledge when it comes.
Yes, he does.
And the knowledge, but he also has, the other thing is he has a lot of knowledge of the area that they're in.
Yeah.
And that's what's really helpful, to where, I go to a new area, right off the bat, you have to learn the area before you do anything else to understand what's going to be there, what's not going to be there, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool you came to Arkansas and stuff. But the nest, that was crazy. I love that. So you go, so you see the nest. The next day you go back to your area, and they throw rocks at you?
Yes.
Well, tell me about that.
We got out of the truck. We sat our chairs up. There was 4 of us there. And I'm the only one that, they were just pelting them at me. And I'm like, what is going on?
Now, what size of rocks were they?
Probably the size of dimes. And at the time I was on blood thinners because I just had a heart attack not too long before that. But so I was bruised pretty good. And I thought, what am I going to do? I had everybody from my group sending me protection salt, crystals. And I'm like, look, I don't know that I'm into all this stuff, but I'm going to try whatever. And then the Native American friend that I have said, you have to go back and apologize. And I'm like, that's 3 hours from home. He said, then don't go to your research area or don't go out researching. You have disrespected, he said. So I had to go back, walk to the nest, not go in it, and apologize. And, it's never happened again. So he was right. But for a while, I was afraid to go out. But since then, it's all been good so far.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because there's a whole lot of other encounters to where people will make a mistake. They'll do something and then realize that they have to apologize. And this is where I have so many questions that nobody's gonna have answers for yet. Honestly, is this area is 3 hours away from your research area. You go there, unintentionally disrespect them.
Right.
They follow you 3 hours away by driving, by the way. This isn't walking. Walking would take you a lot longer. They're there the next day. Yeah. And so that's where, this is where how do they get there? Using portals.
Or how do the others know what happened?
Yeah. Exactly. Eric from on the Incredible Podcast, one of his earlier shows, episodes that he did, he talks to these people, and they were, hunting in an area, and it followed them home and harassed them for quite a while. It's really great. If you get a chance, go over to Eric from Uncomfortable, check the show out. He's a great guy. And it's a 2-part episode that he did with his family. And to where even if memory serves me correctly, they were still being kind of, messed with. Not so much anymore, but the activity had died down for them. So I'm just kind of curious of how, me and Eric talked about it as well off air, about how did they do all that?
Right. How something 3 hours away would know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Or is it the same ones? Do they use portals?
Right. And how did they know I was going to be there at that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are they psychic?
I have a lot of questions about that myself.
Yeah, and whenever I get one that's at the campfire with me and come on the show, I swear it's going to be a forever episode because I have so many questions to ask him. I really do. One day, Sasquatch will sit down and be on the Drunken Cryptids. I hope. one can only hope.
Right.
But no, it's wow, crazy. And so this has got you. So what is the mission statement for your group that you guys are trying to do?
Our group is just like yours, a safe spot. There's no bullying, no belittling. And And how can anybody talk about another person's encounter? They weren't there.
Happens
You can't
all the
tell
time.
somebody what they saw, what they heard, because you weren't there. And we don't give warnings in our group. If you bully somebody, you're gone. And that's right. They know that when they join because they have to agree to the rules. But I just want it to be a safe spot for people that can come on, tell me anything. I'm going to listen. I'm going to research also, though. But yeah, I love hearing people's encounters. And going to Arkansas for me was, I got to experience new country. I got to learn how Wendell and Dale research, which, you know, everybody does it different.
Yep.
I got to learn a lot from those two. They're very intelligent when it comes to Bigfoot.
Oh, extremely. I mean, Wendell, and I'll be honest with you, you know, if I have questions, I will reach out to Wendell.
Right.
You know, I'm not one bit embarrassed to do that at all. You know, I'll reach out to Wendell. I talk to Todd Neese a lot. Me and Todd probably talk at least once, twice a week, sharing new theories, new ideas. And then Wendell has, you know, Wendell is, you know, I think I'm busy. Wendell is everywhere, and how he has the energy to do it, I don't know. You know,
He's a great guy, though.
Wendell is a super, super great guy. And I met him the first time at a town hall meeting I did in Harrison. I had a great time. We talked a lot on the phone and on Facebook. He came on my show. He's been on my show once. I've been on his show. We did a town hall a little over a month ago together here, which was a lot of fun. And I was extremely honored that he wanted me to MC it, you know, and be a part of that. So, you know, a lot of shout out and respect to Wendell, and he doesn't get enough credit for what he's doing. And the thing about Wendell is he's not doing this for the credit. He's doing this for the research.
Right.
You know, this is those things that you know they're there, and it just always seems to be just right out of grasp. And when you think you have it figured out, they'll do something totally different and make you have to go back to the drawing board again. You know, I get asked all the time, what do I think, you know, Sasquatch is? And I was like, my mind changes every hour.
Right.
Every hour. You know, there's so much, you know, and of course, you know, like for your, you know, your mission statement for your group and everything you guys are doing up there, you know, same thing is you have to do the research. And I tell everybody too, though, what really sparked me was these two researchers that passed away in December up there in Oregon.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of controversy already about it. The day they recovered the bodies out of the woods, that night the search and rescue team equipment was stolen.
Yep.
If it wasn't nailed down, as the sheriff put it in his report, it was taken. They said they died due to exposure. I think it's kind of funny for these guys on Christmas Eve. We're going to go spend a couple hours in the woods and then come home, and don't come home. And you don't go to the woods on Christmas Eve just because.
No.
You know, and then be found 3 days later.
Right.
You know, so Todd was the one that sent me the link about that when it happened, because that's his neck of the woods. And he was just like, you know, I think I know these guys. And he still there's still, as of this recording, no names been released.
Right.
And I'm going, isn't that odd?
Yeah. Why? What are they hiding?
Yeah. I mean, there's something to me that says there's a lot more.
Yep.
Not one family member has gone public and said, yeah, that was my uncle.
Right.
You know, that was my brother. That was my husband. That was my dad. You know, that was my roommate's
They're covering
nephew's
it up for some
cousin.
reason.
Yep. So that's why I tell everybody too, that when you do go out looking for these things, remember it is still a creature.
Yep.
And it can have a good day or a bad day.
Yep. Just like we can.
Exactly. And if you catch it in one of those bad moods, may not turn out very well for you.
Nope.
Yeah, that's kind of, so I try and stress everybody, don't go alone, Renee.
I know. I've heard it a lot.
See, now I've got your phone number, so now I'm going to be like going, are you alone? Are you alone? You know, Just throwing that out there. Don't go alone.
But now we do have each other's phone number and we can bounce ideas off each other too.
See, that's the whole point of networking.
Right.
Making sure that we get everything. And the only way we're going to get the bottom of this stuff is by doing that. And so
That's what the Bigfoot community is about, to me. Sharing information, sharing your knowledge, sharing everything, not trying to bash each other. Because you see a lot of drama in the Bigfoot world, a lot.
Well, here's the reason why. One, we're dealing with a creature that allegedly, that's not supposed to exist. Mainstream tells us it's not real. So we're dealing with that right off the bat. Nobody has one in their garage, but everybody is an expert.
Yeah, there is no experts in Bigfooting.
When it comes to cryptids and paranormal, there is no experts. Now, you can be an expert in your area, like your research area. You
Right.
know how they're going to react. You think you have an idea.
Right.
That's totally different than going, well, Bigfoot is a creatures, and this is what he is, and this is what they do, and
Like, how do you know?
yeah, this
That's
is their
what I
breeding
always say.
habits,
Do you
and
have one in your
yeah.
basement?
I mean, exactly. So let me ask you a question. So what's the closest you've ever been able to get to one?
The closest is probably face to face.
Can you describe what it looked like?
Yeah.
Please do.
She was black, all black. She had big breasts, and they didn't have hair on them. Her arms were longer than her legs, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay. So you say she was black, like the skin was black?
Yes, her skin and her hair was black.
Okay. All
Her
right.
skin was black on her face. You could hardly see her eyeballs because they are black also.
So she had black. Wow.
I could even see her teeth, and she didn't have canines, or she had no canines in her teeth. She was older. Pretty good sized girl. She had a lot of weight on her, which, it being in fall, I don't know that she may have been pregnant. I don't know. I mean, looking at her abdominal area, I would say she was pregnant. They don't look like an ape. She didn't. She looked more human. Her nose was wider, but not like huge. And her eyeballs were little, like squinty little eyeballs. And her hands were massive. But her arms were longer than her legs. She had short legs. She was taller waist up than she was waist down. Cone head. Her head was kind of combed. Her fur was really thick. She had fingernails that were black. She was probably less than 15 feet away from me. But
So-
she didn't seem afraid of me, and I wasn't afraid of her for some reason.
Wow. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the nose real quick.
Hmm.
So was it like a flat nose or a prominent nose?
No, it was flattened. It was wider.
Okay, because I've got a picture of one on our area that has a prominent nose,
Okay.
which is
Nope.
odd. It's a side profile. So I'm wondering if, like us, they have different shapes of noses.
I would say they're all different because we're all different.
Yeah, so I was kind of running on
Yeah.
that one. What about ears? Do you remember any ears?
No. Mm-mm. I don't remember that part because I'm looking at her head face on.
Right. And what about a tail?
Nope, I didn't see one.
Didn't see a tail. Okay, I'm curious. That's one that I'm real curious about, tails or not, because I've never seen one that close. I mean, my sighting last year was 75 yards away.
She's been my closest one. And I've been to Salt Fork, excuse me, multiple times since then. And when I go to Hozek's Cave, which is an area of Salt Fork where there's obviously a cave, a lot of cave systems there. Probably out of 20 times I've been there, I've seen her 17, 18. So that I know she stays in that area. And I have taken people there, 2 women that have never seen one. They're like, Renee, you are lucky enough to see one just about every time we're here. Can you take us? I said, I can take you, but there's no guarantee. I ain't got no guarantees.
It's like fishing.
And I'll send you this video. I took them down to the end of a dead end road that ends at the lake. We're looking up the ravine, up the valley. I said, look by that tree up there. I've got her on video. She's sitting down at the base of the tree. I speak out loud. I said, we're not here to harm you. These are friends of mine. You know, we're not going to do anything. They want to see you. She turns and looks right at us, turns back around. We all look back up there and she's gone, but I do have it on video and I will send that to you after the show.
Oh, please do. I'm going to work at YouTube. So on YouTube, everybody, the video will be on YouTube. There'll be some, you're sending me some more videos as well?
I'll send you everything I got.
Well, you ain't going to do all that. I appreciate that. I mean, but you send me what you'd like, and I'm going to probably do some narration of, I'll talk to you again about off air, but that's neither here nor there. So they saw her. So you don't think they're nomadic then? You think they stay in one area?
I have been there. We go there usually April, June, August, and October. And I've seen her there all 4 times of the year. So I don't think she goes anywhere. I think they live in the cave system there.
Okay, so the cave system, is it a tourist spot?
No.
Okay.
The Hozak's cave is. You can walk to that and, take pictures or whatever. But if you go to the dead end road where I was talking about and you go up that ravine, there's huge boulders up there. And if you go behind those, the underground cave system is amazing. That people don't know is there because they don't get off the little trails, I'm an explorer. I like to walk. Let's go up to the top of this hill. Let's go check it out. But yeah, there's a huge cave system there that I'm sure would go miles and miles if you could get down in there and walk it. So I believe that's where she stays because I've seen her, like I said, all 4 times of the year.
I am curious whether or not they are nomadic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want to know. I think there's something. I don't know whether they live or they're I don't know. I mean, it's again one of those questions. When I get one to sit down and come on the show. So, Sasquatch, if you're listening, you have an open invitation to come to the Drunken Cryptids anytime. We have questions.
Yes, we do.
No, that is... it's pretty neat, though, that you were able to take them up there and they were able to witness it. What was their thoughts on it?
Shock. The one woman has never been Bigfooting again. And the other one is just like the rest of us. She's addicted. But since then, she's never seen one herself. So I don't know. But I talk to him out loud just like I would you,
Yeah, I get that.
Hey, I'm not here to harm nobody. I'm just curious and,
Yeah, I think it's funny. People go out there and go, we got to be quiet. I'm like, they know we're here.
They already know.
They already know that we're like looking for them.
And they don't want you to be quiet. They're curious about us too. We're entertainment to them.
What's funny is I get that a lot. So I can't remember who it was. Somebody came up with the theory that they're seen by the road a lot because they will go to like interstates and highways and be entertained by us driving by.
Yeah, I think we're their entertainment.
Well, yeah. But you also hear reports of them coming to people's windows watching TV.
That happened to Dale Bullock.
Yep. Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. I love Dale.
Yeah, me too.
Like I said, these guys are Absolutely. Yeah, great group of guys. Okay, so been teasing long enough. Let's get into Dogman.
All right, I'll tell you my first encounter. At Salt Fork at Hozak's Cave. Very first night I'm there. The same guy I found the nest with. But I didn't. This is the first time I'd met him. He said, "You want to go up Hozak's?" And I'm thinking, well, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, let's go. And it's a narrow, hard trail to get to this cave that is beautiful once you see it. But so we get out of the car and we start up this trail. And I said, "Did you bring a light?" And he said, "No." "Did you?" I said, "No." There was enough moonlight we could see the trail. So being stupid, we walked on. He's going first, I'm behind him. On top of this cave where the moon is just enough that you can see the top of the cave, we start seeing these golden colored eyes. And I'm like, "What the heck's all that?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not sure." We keep walking. We get closer. And one of these things stands up and the moonlight's behind it. So all we can see is a silhouette. It's got very long ears, has a snout. I'm like, "What is that?" By this time, there's probably 11 or 12 sets of these gold eyes looking at us. This boy says, "Renee, do you trust me?" And I said, "No, I just met you." He's like, "I'm being serious. Do you trust me?" And I said, "Well, you have a weapon and I don't. I guess I have to." He said, "Run." So we run this trail out of there, and these things are following us. We get out to the blacktop, and I am so deathly sick immediately, so dizzy, so wanting to throw up. My heart is beating so fast, and it's not from running. And I tell my husband, I said, "How are we going to make it back to camp?" Because I had drove there. My husband has never drove. He said, "Renee, you're going to have to get us back to camp." Now, mind you, my head is spinning. We turn around in that parking lot, and just at the edge of the wood line is all these golden eyes looking at us. We get back to camp, and I have to go immediately to bed. I'm so sick. Stayed sick for 3 weeks straight. Got to researching, talking to people, and I'm like, why did it make me so sick? And they said that I got hit with infrasound.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, and it affects everybody differently. Some people it doesn't affect at all. But for 3 weeks, I was so sick. I never thought no more about the stupid dog man until I got invited to Indiana.
Okay, let's pause on this encounter real quick before we go into the next one. Okay, so 11 to 12 sets of golden eyes.
They were, yeah, golden yellow. Bright golden yellow.
Yeah. Did you? Okay, so my question is, did you see actually just the eyes or just the actual creature itself?
With the silhouette of the moon, when the one stood up on the two legs, you could see his outline really well. His legs, to me, look like they were put on backwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You could see his snout. You could see his big ears. But that's the thing that stands out the most is that his legs look like they were on backwards. And I had no clue. I'd never heard of dog man. I'd never, I was just starting to learn about Bigfoot. But yeah, I don't like the dog man.
They almost go hand in hand. It seems like if there's one, there's another one.
Right.
If Sasquatch is in one area, there's going to be like another cryptid.
Yeah.
And Dogman seems to be the big one that, you hear all the time. I hear reports they work together. They're mortal enemies. I don't know. But,
right.
I do think that a lot of the X's are put up to be like, hey, this is my area. You stay on yours. I'll stay on mine. Like, everybody's territorial. Everybody is. And that's why we have houses and our property, we have fences per se. But so when you say 11 to 12 set, I mean, how were they spread out or were they clustered together or?
No, there was probably 3 or 4 on top of this cave, which is huge. Um, and then the other ones were on both sides of us, like they were trying to surround us.
Were they glowing eyes?
Yeah, there wasn't enough moonlight. I mean, it wasn't eye shine. I'd say it was eye glow, because they were facing away from the moon. But
I wonder if it was the fairies, the fae folk.
I don't know what it was, but their infrasound affected me so bad.
Well, see, because I've never heard of Dogman with infrasound. Of course, I've never heard of that. Doesn't mean it's not real. I know I've been zapped.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely, I understand. I was out of loops, probably a good 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it does affect everybody differently. I think my encounter that I had in 2002, whatever was out there, I think same thing. Something happened that night to us. I really don't know, but because your symptoms you're describing do sound like you got zapped, and I'm using there's no other term for it out there besides zapped.
Right.
So, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience.
Yeah, because with the eyes, the eye light, wonder. It's got some fae folk a little bit to it as well. Even with the creature standing up, there's reports out there the fae folk will project something,
Right.
to or manifest something to scare or to ward or along those lines. There was one encounter I heard that they were following with eye light, and it went off a cliff and it was like standing there for them to follow it off the cliff.
Right.
So then it was like hovering in the air, and I was like, that sounds like fae folk right there trying to, hey, because fae folk aren't Tinkerbell. Just remember that, folks.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. All right, let's get to the other one. Okay.
Like I said, I'd never heard of Dogman till that night. And I never thought of him again after that because of what getting zapped was not fun. But I got invited to Indiana to go research, and I drove 4.5 hours to go to Indiana by myself. We go to a state park, Tippecanoe State Park, in a nature preserve there. And that's where I seen the 4 structures all together. Very nice place. There's 4 of us standing looking at these structures in broad daylight. Out of nowhere comes this black, I'll describe it as a dog, probably 4 foot high at the back, coal black eyes. Out of nowhere, there's nobody around us. Nobody, not another car in the parking lot. Here comes this dog. There's 4 of us. I'm in the second person from the right. It goes around the first person, comes to me, doesn't growl, doesn't do anything. It bites me. It doesn't hurt. I don't even realize I've been bit. It takes off. One of the guys that was with me shot at it at least 30 times in a state park, just shooting. It screams out a scream that I cannot describe. They went looking for it. No blood, no hair, no prints, no dog. So they come back and they're like, Renee, you're bleeding. And I said, no, why would I be bleeding? I still hadn't realized I'd been bit, I guess, in shock. I still carry the scar to this day. We got out of there, went to the ranger, explained what happened. He said, Renee, pull your pants down, let me see, and let me, disinfect it, whatever. He wasn't like surprised, the park ranger wasn't. And I said, why aren't you surprised that in the middle of your state park, I get bit by this dog that's 5 times the size of a German Shepherd. And he's like, well, was it coal black? And I said, yes, sir. I said, it had black eyes. He said, oh, it's been spotted many times, but never been captured or anything. And we went looking for it, he said, but we can't find it. People just tell us that. And I'm like, sir, I'm bleeding. This thing, one of its canines got caught in my leg and ripped it pretty good. He said, yeah, I'll take a picture and document it. And that was the end of the story. Well, we left there, the state park, and I said, I still don't believe that just happened. It didn't seem real. I sent pictures to my Native American friend, and he said, Renee, be careful, you've been marked, tagged, whatever you want to call it. But I haven't seen one since, and that was last year, so hopefully I don't never see one again. But he says also that it's my blood type that now I'm tagged, so I don't know. It's crazy. It's a crazy story. It's still hard to believe, and it happened to me, and I still have a hard time believing it until I look at the scar every day. So have you ever experienced?
And you still want to go in the woods by yourself?
I have to. I don't
Renee,
have nobody else to go.
Don't go alone. Don't
Matthew.
go alone. Take a dog.
I don't have a dog.
Get one. Get one. Go to your local animal shelter. Adopt the dog. That's what they're there for.
Well, I have my daughter living with me now, so I will
take her. Both y'all get dogs.
But yeah, it's a crazy story, and
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say a crazy. It's a wow story. I mean, that is.
But
wow.
It's a story that still doesn't seem real to me.
I have never heard of anybody being bit by Dogman.
It didn't hurt at all.
And I mean, really? Nothing?
Nothing. I wouldn't have believed I was bit until I took my pants down and seen the mark and blood pouring out of it.
Did it hurt the next day?
No, it's never hurt.
Never?
Nope.
No itchy through the healing process or anything?
Nothing.
What?
Never hurt, never even knew it was there, really.
How big of the scar is it?
Probably, well, just one canine tooth got hooked in my leg and ripped it.
Yeah.
About a little bigger than a quarter.
Just kind of snagged you.
Yep. I don't think it was trying to hurt me, if that makes sense, because it could have killed me.
I call BS on that one. It's a dog man.
But it could have done a lot worse than just bite my thigh, you know?
Well,
and why not the other 3? Why me out of 4 people? Who's not on the end where it could have walked right up to it? It had to come around them.
Well, that comes down to the predator instinct. You know, do you go for the strongest one first, or you go for the weakest one first?
Well, let's say strongest. No.
Hey, look, I know. That's why, I'm like, hey, I'm not the strongest person out here. I'm like in the middle when I go out there, because that's where I want to be at, because I'm not the target. Either way, I'm safe. No, that is crazy. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, wow.
Right. It's mind blowing. I mean, it's still not real to me, but I know it happened, and
it just rushed right up and just snagged and rushed right away.
It didn't rush up. It showed up out of nowhere. It walked up to me.
And
I'm like, yeah, and I'm 5 foot, like I said, 5'2", and its back was higher than my waist. And I just thought, well, that's a big dog. I wasn't afraid.
What about dire wolf?
That's what my Native American friend said.
Aha.
Sounds like dire wolf.
We're on the same page.
Yep.
Okay, now if we go with dire wolf, that'll make a little bit more sense. So I may have been curious coming up to check you out, and something startled it, and it snapped.
Yeah, I don't think it was trying to hurt me at all. I didn't get any fear from it.
And Nugget agrees because
he said, dire wolf.
Do you agree with me, Nugget? You're having a hard time over there. Sorry, my dog is suddenly started. I just got this new dog we talked about, and he's
the
shorter snout, so they have like respiratory issues.
Right.
So I'm like, do you need an inhaler over there? Are you okay? Do they make dog inhalers? no, I think you, because he was asleep. I was looking like, what? And the dog can fart too. Don't let nobody lie to you. This little thing can clear out a room. Plus, no, I think maybe a direwolf though.
Right. That's what he said.
Yeah, I'm thinking direwolf. Maybe it was coming up, checking you out. Sorry for the interruption there. The dog just started having an asthma attack. Not really, but you get the point. So I think it was kept curious, checking you guys out, and something just spooked it. And again, when you're out there, it's an animal. It's going to act like an animal, which means it's unpredictable. And I think that it might have just snapped. But what's funny, though, is that the no pain or anything, what if they got like that? I can't think of the scientific medical name where, you don't feel it. Like when a tick bites you.
Felt anything.
And still don't, but got a little scar to prove it. How crazy is that?
Yep.
Well, what do you think it was?
Well, after talking to him and researching direwolf, I would say that's what it was.
Okay, yeah.
But it's just mind blowing. It's like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's wow. That's one of those. Yeah, that's Renee, that's a really cool encounter.
Yeah, it was, but it still doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I look at the scar every day, and I know it happened, but it still doesn't seem real. But he told me just to be careful because he thinks I've been tagged. But I still go out by myself. I know.
Renee, we're not going out and take your daughter with you and get a dog. Get a dog. Don't let the dog loose.
Right.
Because dogs and Sasquatch generally don't have good relationships, which makes me do think that maybe there is like a little war between Dogman and Sasquatch.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just one of those, again, those crazy reports out there.
Yeah.
And it's like encounters like that is, I've never heard of one. I mean,
no, and I don't tell a lot of people because they look at you like you're stupid, or you're crazy. No, I've got the scar to prove it. Do you want to see it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember too, though, is, and that's what I tell everybody all the time is, I am never going to discredit anybody's encounter because one, I wasn't there. Like we were talking about earlier, I personally was not there. Two, I was just talking to Ryan from Codex Curiosities last night about this, and we brought it up. We're talking about, having guests on the show, and there's a lot of people out there who are afraid to come on the show because they are afraid of being made fun of.
Right.
And I want the show to be a safe spot. His as well. It's all these other shows. That's the whole purpose of this. Because I tell people who listen, people are like, oh, you don't believe all that stuff. I'm like, listen, they saw something. They had an encounter with something. Something happened to them enough to where it left an everlasting mark. In your case, it really did. But it left a mark on them to figure out, what did I see?
Yeah.
And the more encounters that we get out there, the more people are going to realize, I'm not alone. Like for me, again, I talked to, Ryan last night about this. I got involved into doing all this because of my encounter that I had in 2002. I couldn't find anything that would say, okay, this was a dogman. This was a skinwalker, which there's no skinwalkers this far east. This was a Wendigo. This was fairies. This was a troll, because it checks so many boxes of everything and trying to figure it out. So I started listening to the podcast to see, if somebody has something similar. And I remember on Sasquatch Chronicles, Wes interviewed a guy and he talked about this creature walking up to him and vanished. And I was like, that happened to me. It was 4 feet in front of me and was gone, So
yeah. Where do they go that quick? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a mystery to me. It is.
Yeah, well, Todd Neese is running he's about to start running some really good experiments with bear fur.
Well, I'll give you my opinion on that. I believe it is their fur. I don't believe they go anywhere. I believe that their fur is made to where they can change it just standing there and you won't see them. It's a reflect. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but like
they
the
have a clear
predator.
coat. It's a clear
You know
coat,
how
like the polar bear. The polar bear is actually not white.
Right. And I
So their
think they
fur is
can change-
translucent, and it reflects off of the snow around it. I
Right.
think that
They
Sasquatch.
change to their surroundings.
I think exactly. They have translucent fur. Not all of it is translucent, but they have translucent enough in there to be able, to reflect the light coming into it. Does make them disappear.
I agree. That's what I believe.
And and like I've said this numerous times on the show already. I'll say it again because I'll die on the hill. I think the movie Predator was based upon a Sasquatch encounter.
Sasquatch. Yep.
If you look at if you take the technology away from the Predator, if you think minus the weaponry, let's do that one. Take away the weaponry of the Predator, and it's similar to Sasquatch, mimicking sounds, in the trees. I think that we spend all of our time. A lot of times we don't look up.
Right.
And I'll catch myself when I'm out there doing the same thing. I'm like, I haven't looked up. I'm looking straight. I need to look up.
Yep.
I think they spend more time. I think that's where we're missing them. But of course they're not going to be on these smaller trees because they're a giant, 7 foot, 400-pound, creature.
But I agree. I believe a lot of people never look up.
Yeah, and
They're
I forget
looking
to do
down
that all
the
the
ground
time.
for prints and sign and look up. They could be right above you.
Well, if you think and also do the movie Predator, they had a Native American in there on their team.
Yep.
Who kind of knew there was something up. I just thought of that. Soft disclosure. Those guys had an encounter. Man. Well, Renee, I'm going to bring this in for a landing. Wow. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your encounters with us.
Thank you for having me, and I'll send you all my pictures and stuff that I got.
Yes, please do.
Share 'em with you.
Yeah, and you said you have your own version of the Ohio. Before I do land it, though, why don't you tell us about you? Because you did tell me right before we started recording about your own version. You got your own recording of the Ohio Howl.
Right. Being down at Salt Fork, I always have a recorder going in my pocket when we're out, anytime we're out, because encounters don't just happen at night. I didn't hear it audibly. I did not hear it, but I caught it on the recorder, and it's very loud on the recorder. Why I didn't hear it, none of us heard it. But yeah, anytime I'm out, I got a recorder in my pocket going. So yeah, I caught that. I didn't hear it myself, but I caught it on recorder, and I will send that to you as soon as we're done.
I cannot wait. And I will absolutely have that played before the outro music plays for everybody listening. So y'all get ready to hear that here in a few minutes or so. But again, Renee, tell everybody real quick where they can find you guys at.
You can find us on Facebook, Ohio Bigfoot Researchers, and also on YouTube. Same name.
Yep, and we're going to post links in the show description, guys, as well. So if you're in the Ohio area and you want to reach out to them, please do. Make sure you give them a follow and everything, and that we can keep up with Renee's adventures, no longer going alone in the woods. I'm going to be like the big brother, no longer going alone in the woods. So, yeah, thank you so very much. Wow. The dire wolf one got me. That was
in October.
Yes. I will be at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree #2 in Ohio. I'm with the Cryptids of the Corn guys. I'm really, really excited and honored that they asked me to come and be a speaker. To be honest with you, so I'm the headliner in the family tent that day.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, if you're heading back down here with the Arkansas Bigfoot Cartel, give me a shout. I'll try and make arrangements to, kind of join you guys. Wendell, I love you, but you're like 2.5 hours away. It's like 5 hours. I love you, buddy, but my area is 40.
Right.
That's a lot easier.
I fly into Little Rock, so.
Well, that's where I'm right here in Central. So, All right. Well, Dave, thank you again very much for coming on the show. Greatly had a good time. So, and
Thank you.
everybody out there, make sure to check him out there. And listen, we're going to play the Ohio Sounds for you guys. And check out the YouTube. We're going to post some videos up as well. And then we'll go into the outro music on YouTube. So until next time, y'all stay safe out there.
I can do